get? Video.
Today, March 11, 2026 at 6 p.m. Not very excited.
Yeah.
So if everybody can please rise and say the pledge of allegiance to us. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I would note everyone is here with the exception of Supervisor Draper. We have a presentation from Dan Beltheisen with the Randall speaking. Siegfried Randall.
Thanks very much for inviting me to your meeting again this year. Thanks for letting me start so quickly. So I appreciate the long-term relationship we've had with the township. As I was driving here, I realized I can't remember the exact year I started with the township, but sometime in the late 90s. So a long time. The gray hair is not from you; it's from my 3 daughters.
Yeah.
So appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I would say that over that period of time, it's been interesting to see all the changes that the township has made, all the different people that we've met here. In a way, especially financially, we're in a better place now than you've ever been in all of those years. So that's true. You hired a perfect person to help you with the accounting, financials. We just say that up front, are very healthy funds and township. I like to talk about a few things when I get to visit you. Those are the auditor communications, make a few comments about your financial condition, and talk about any recommendations we may have. So I'll be very brief, but I would like to start with the independent auditor's report. I don't know if you have that in front of you or not. If not, that is just fine.
Let's get to it. We'll start with you on that.
Auditor communications that we issue on the auditor's report. The important thing about that is that we give an opinion about whether the financial statements are recorded in accordance with federally accepted accounting principles. We've given you an unmodified opinion. I think I've said this in the past, but too often in the media, you hear about the auditor gave a clean opinion, unmodified opinion, everything must be fine. That's not always the case. We keep making adjustments on an audit until we can give that opinion. Sometimes we make a couple dozen adjustments, and we've made more in the past year. This year, we've only made a couple. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So that's a very good thing too. That auditor's report also talks about responsibilities. It's important to me that you know that ultimately this document, the financial statements, are your responsibility. We give an opinion on them. So you're responsible for the preparation of the financial statements as well as the internal controls or checks and balances over those transactions. And we give the opinion. The second communication we issued is what we goes by a number of different names. I like to call it just a management letter. The thing that attracts the most attention is our comments regarding internal controls. There, if you read that carefully, it would say that there are material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. Those are terms I didn't come up with. The Audit Standards Board came up with those. And probably more than 10 years ago now, after Enron and WorldCom, standards changed so that if there's a single material correction that we have to make, we have to put that in writing and tell everybody. I think that's an unfair expectation. If you have a publicly traded company with a dozen CPAs on staff, you better be able to do that. But at a township in West Michigan, I wouldn't expect you to have the people to be able to do that. So that you can expect some corrections. We list the material corrections that we have, and like I said, in the past, we've had a number of corrections here, but this year we made some adjustments that were material related to special assessments, and we picked up one additional payable. That kind of gives you an example of all the transactions you look at. If you miss one, it's material. We have to put that in writing. So Peter was able to pick up everything else with that one exception. So again, he does a terrific job for you. Just a few comments about the financial condition. If I look at your balance sheet as of June 30, 2025, you have $7.8 million in fund balance. Your operating fund or general fund has about $1.15 million in fund balance. The typical question I get from board members is, what's our fund balance and is that a good number? Only you would know if that's a good number, because an auditor can't tell you that. But I always look at it in comparison to your current year's expenditures. 1.15 million is 91% of your current year's expenditures. That's a really good place to be. I think a township is a lot like an individual where you have 25 to 50% or 3 to 6 months worth set aside in savings for a fund balance. You're in good shape. A lot of townships I work with have a specific goal of getting to 100% unassigned fund balance in your at the end of the year. You're at 91%, so you're right in line with that. That 91% is probably a lot higher than it was not that many years ago. So that's great. Then you have other special revenue funds, money that's restricted for certain purposes like roads, $3.2 million in fund balance available to be spent on that. You've done a nice job creating some capital project funds where there's almost $900,000 in fund balance available to you. Daniel just told me about a capital project coming up soon with the building. So that's why you set that money aside. Don't have to borrow for it. Yeah. So in summary, each of the funds of the township is very healthy, and the township as a whole is as well. One thing that I know always attracts attention here is your defined benefit pension plan. Not too many years ago, that was 30% funded. Now it's 73% funded as of the end of your last fiscal year. And that's because you've made pretty significant contributions every year since 2020. So that's a real improvement. You should all take pride in it, I'd say. So that's in good shape too. MERS likes you to be at 80%. Very few cities, villages, and townships I work with are at 80%. 75 is kind of a common number, to be honest with you. So it's in a much improved place compared to 10 years ago. I often try to come up with recommendations when you have the opportunity like this, but you've really done that by hiring Peter a couple of years ago. He continues to do an excellent job. The only thing is I'd love to come here someday and say there's not a single adjustment. And I think Peter could probably get you to that place. So that's all I have. If you have any specific questions now, I'd be happy to answer those, but we're always available through the year as well.
I'll just make a comment. Thank you for all the time you worked with me before we had Peter helping with the whole operation. And on the pension front, maybe because what, a year and a half ago, when I stopped being full-time and we hired Peter, I left the pension plan. So
That probably helped a little bit.
Thought I'd make a joke. You and your staff have always been terrific.
Great, Appreciate that.
Help make us better and we've done pretty good. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions for Dan? Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Great.
Have a great evening.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Next on our agenda is the treasurer's report. Wait, I'll wait till you're drinking.
I know, I always forget it's like, oh. Sorry, everyone, more numbers, but they're all good, so I'm happy to report them. Well, as Dan said, and I can just applaud, we are really in an excellent position and, February, this is March, so I'm reporting on February was an extremely positive financial month for the township. At the end of the month, we had cash on hand in our general fund bank account of $2.6 million. That's an increase of 1.1 million from last month. Now, a lot of that is due to the final month that property tax bills were received. But we got our state revenue marijuana share, $175,000 for that. We got a payment from Eagle environmental state agency of $15,000. We also got our final regular state revenue, general revenue share, $61,000. And on a more local basis, we do here, our revenues from permits were higher than expected. And it was great. We also got a $200,000 payment from a Saugatuck retreat. Is that it? Lodging. Get lodging in the Saugatuck retreat, which is going in on Blue Star. That money is, it's not a, what's I gonna say? It's not a special assessment. It's $200,000 cash that we will reserve if we need to make any improvements to the intersection at Blue Star and 35th. And how? What am I saying? I'm thinking of the other one. So that was nice. And so that's marked, that money's marked for that. By and large though, and I'll talk on investments in a minute, we haven't hit 2 million in the bank in a while. And I've always felt that that was more than we needed. They're not going to work for us. So we'll be adjusting our investments in the next few weeks accordingly. Let's see, on the expense side, some notable ones. I know you all read all through this, but I always like to point out some significant ones. $9,000 we already paid to the Allegheny County Drain Commission. $15,000 was spent for River Bluff Park. $54,000 for the building exterior plans and the housing study. We had no departmental overages. Can't remember the last time we did. And the consent agreement that we will approve shortly. My report says it included $18,000 in bills due since the packet was prepared. That actually, I got an update when we came in today. So that total now, there are now $142,000 in bills. And I'm just gonna point out a couple of those, is they're worth noting. We had an additional $81,000 in there this week from Allegheny County Drain Commission. And then progressive, $17,000 for the Township Hall exterior canopy. And what was the other one I wanted to know? Oh, here it is. He was working with us on the Riverside Cemetery improvements and Sundown Park. Added 7,000 to that. So that is an amended number, 142,000 will be approved in the consent agenda. So moving on here, tax year 2025, this tax season ended on March 1st. Unpaid bills have now been turned over to the county for collection, as they always are. We did receive 98% of our taxes paid by us, to us, by March 1st. Total tax disbursements, that's what we pay out to the schools, the library, the interurban, all of our partners. Total for the tax year, I just lost my place. 50, just shy of $50 million. And also in tonight's consent agreement, our final disbursements that were made in February totaled $3.78 million. So you're approving that tonight. On the investment front, our total investments at the end of the month, end of February, came to $6.76 million. That's an increase of only $10,000 from the previous month. But that's our lowest increase ever. And as you're all aware, there have been significant losses in the markets due to the war activities going on in the Middle East. And all these investments are most of them are restricted to cemetery water sewer. There'll be more detail as I do my quarterly investment report tonight. Back again, as I said, 98% of property taxes have been paid. The general fund and general fund bank account, 80% of budgeted revenues have been collected. So only 14% behind budget, and we have what, 3 more months to the fiscal year? On the expense side, we're at 49% of expenses having been paid. So again, it's a very positive picture. And if you look the next page, the detailed investments, I only want to point out a few things. As I mentioned, the total investments are at $6.768 million. There has been some activity I just want to share with you. We had a U.S. Treasury note that came matured in February. We are talking tomorrow. We have 2 municipal financial advisors who's speaking to one of them about where to redirect that. We expect, because Treasury note percent are dropping some, as I've already said, why. The other thing we did, we had a CD further down in the water that we keep in the water fund. Choice One Bank, that matured, and that's $311,000. We're rolling that over into a new CD with that same bank, Choice Bank. That will mature in July and is paying 3.1%. As I've said more than once, all the interest rates are lower than we've expected that. But again, it's all very positive. There are any questions?
Any questions from Mr. Helmut?
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the planning commission report. There was a planning commission held on Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. The highlights of that meeting were we had a presentation on the new zone district that we're considering for hamlet zoning. There was no action taken. It was just a discussion to introduce the idea to the planning commission of the hamlet zoning, which would allow for more dense housing and more mixed use. The planning commission adopted amended bylaws. There were very few changes, but there were some that were appropriate. And then we had a final condominium presentation from North Shore regarding the Pine Trail cabins. That was postponed for more information, so no action was taken on that item either. And the outstanding projects are wooden iron. That's still pending more information. Blue Star Bend, we don't have an update on that yet. Saugatuck Lodging, this is the one that's in process. It's going to be quite a big and complicated development, but it's quite exciting to have that kind of investment in the township. Singapore Retreat, we're waiting for engineering plans on that, so no action was taken on that item. And the Enclave development for down on the corner by Blue Star and Old Allegan was presented and talked about. And they had a big open house a couple of weeks ago at the Ivy House. So that was open to the public and many people attended it. It was a good turnout and they had a lot of comments from the developer. With that, the planning commission adjourned and we'll see next week, Tuesday. Any questions? Questions? Okay, then we'll move on to the manager report.
So we did have a meeting of the municipal utility committees to talk about next step for updating our regional water and sewer agreement. So we're in the process of exploring a one owner, one operator model. We gave some feedback to our utility consultant, and he's gonna take that feedback and bring us a more concrete outline to explore possibly in April or May. CalSWA had their regular meeting on Monday, February 16th. As you know, I'm the current representative on that commission. We were able to approve a transition plan in preparation for the arrival of our new permanent administrator who started, I think, 2 weeks ago, Robert Miller. So we're very excited about that. We approved some big maintenance projects and repair work for 2 of the 6 municipal wells. We renewed the authority's employee health insurance plans, and we approved the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 budget. We also authorized hiring a new finance position, 2 supervising operators, and 2 additional regular operators. We have our next meeting scheduled for Monday. Oh, it should be March 13th, not April 13th. So we're meeting again March 13th. Township held a kickoff meeting with Progressive AE and Brennan Newhoff for the Blue Star Highway 135th Avenue, 65th Street intersection improvement project. This project is being funded through the Michigan Infrastructure Office Technical Assistance Center. We were able to get a pilot program grant to fund that work. So we will be looking at different, we'll be conducting a feasibility study at first to figure out different options for reconfiguring the intersection. It might be a squaring of the intersection, so we have a nice squared 4-way intersection. It could be a roundabout, but we're gonna do all that feasibility work to determine what the best option for that intersection is. We're gonna complete some early design work, topographic studies. Essentially, the goal is to set ourselves up to apply for a federal grant, so then we can actually fund the construction of the improvement projects. So that is underway. We actually had a second meeting today with the road commission, so feeling good about that project. Saugatuck Public Schools did host a meeting with the 3 municipalities to discuss the Safe Routes to School program. So this program will fund infrastructure projects that help either construct infrastructure or improve infrastructure that make it more safe and comfortable for students to get to schools. There is an opportunity here, I think, to leverage that program to implement some of the Blue Star Highway Corridor Safety Plan. So we'll be exploring that with Saugatuck Public Schools. There'll probably be a proposal coming to you in April to consider, which would be to hire Brennan Newhoff to facilitate the coordination with the Safe Routes to School program and then actually write the grant application. Skip that one. So township staff have completed the Hamlet District zoning project. So that is essentially the goal of that project, was to determine how the township might increase and diversify housing options in the community that are actually meeting the community's needs. Allegan County Community Foundation had put together a very extensive housing assessment needs report that we were able to utilize. And then we also used, or we conducted our own survey to figure out, you know, a little more about resident situation, what they're planning to do in the next few years, what they're looking for in terms of housing needs, what they want to be close by. And from all of those findings, we were focusing on the Blue Star corridor as a location that could be developed / redeveloped to meet those housing needs of folks. And that was primarily because of the proximity to amenities in the downtown area and also the presence of utilities or the possibility to extend utilities. So this is kind of part of our strategic growth approach that balances meeting development needs of the community, but doing so in such a way that we are not taking away from areas of the community that are still rural and have very rich natural resources. So those plans were presented to the planning commission, and now it's kind of in the planning commission's hands. How they explore that, but we did all the preliminary work for them. And now it's in their hands to determine how they want to move forward with that. Parks Commission rep for their regular meeting on March 4th. The River Bluff Park Improvement Project, which is specific improvements to River Bluff Park, it continues to make progress. So I participated in 2 progress meetings recently. We have submitted permits to Eagle and the Army Corps. We did receive responses from them. We responded to those responses, so we're just waiting to hear back from them. We're very close to submitting our section 106 cultural review. We're still coordinating with the tribes just so that they're comfortable with everything that we're putting in that report, so that moves smoothly. And I am currently working on a grant amendment for that grant. As we discussed, the damage assessment trustees of the Kalamazoo River made $1 million available to fund this project with the contribution of $250,000 from the township. So that money has successfully transferred. So we're updating the our grant application to reflect the extended scope of the project, meaning that we're moving into construction, and then also the expanded budget of that project. So that's moving ahead. This is something that's I can talk about during the meeting, but Parks Commission did review a proposal from the ODC network to update our strategic land conservation plan. Also improvements at Sunset Park, the Parks Commission did vote to officially change the name from Sundown to Sunset. Construction's paused for the winter. I think that's obvious why it's winter, but we are working with our landscape architect Viridis on some interpretive signs. One of them will be specifically about the high risk erosion area where the park is located, and provide information to folks about what is the high risk erosion area, what the state and what the township is doing to address that, and then how some of the improvements at the park are demonstrations and how residents can actually address some issues related to coastal erosion, such as how can you minimize groundwater runoff with plantings in your yard. So all that landscape is going to be native planting, plantings that have deep root systems, so that we're turning an area that is essentially just grass and ripe for groundwater runoff into something that's helping to absorb that groundwater runoff. And then we want interpretive signs to explain that to folks. And then we had the Kalamazoo River Greenway Committee meet on February 17th. Our representatives on that are Jane Dickey and Glenna DeYoung. They were both in attendance and they did present their findings at the Parks Commission meetings.
Thank you, Daniel. I welcome to Daniel. Thank you. And with that, we'll go ahead and open the public comment section of the meeting. We ask that you can speak up to 3 minutes. When you're recognized, an extension of time up to 5 minutes may be granted by the supervisor if the extension will not interfere with the conduct of board business or with other persons who also wish to address the board. Each person wishing to address the board shall ask to identify themselves and their address. Persons representing an organization or group shall indicate whether their comments represent the official view of the organization or group. Persons addressing the board shall also observe rules of common courtesy and decorum. Having said that, we'll open the public comment section. And is there anybody in the second row that would like to speak? You're the second row.
Good evening, I am Chris Michaud, the Allegan County Drain Commissioner. Just kind of wanted to stop by tonight, chat with you guys to see how things are going. I know Brent's been in contact with Daniel quite a bit on a lot of the development stuff. And yeah, it's just wanted to get through a lot of money. That's good. Just wanted to kind of touch base and talk about a few of the projects we had going. I know the Blue Star one is a big one. We've been talking about that, and that's kind of, I can say on hold, but we're waiting to work with you guys as well on the redesign and everything else, so we're not putting the cart ahead of the horse, so to say. But yeah, working with you guys on that one. Only one issue with the rose drain, we've had beaver activity in there. So they're being trapped and relocated and then we'll end up taking their dam out once they're done. Beaver,
Oh.
actually beaver, so.
They were nothing in Goshorn Creek, so that's.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we've done a few improvements with our office from last year. We now have mobile mapping in the field. So if you're all involved in situations like yesterday, we can go right to different spots right there without having to go back to the office and get stuff. So working with that, we're gonna improve the website a little bit. We'll hopefully extend our hours from 8 to 5, like all the other offices. With that, yeah. Any questions you may have for us, gladly feel.
I really enjoy working with Brent though. Brent is
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's great.
Yeah, he's great.
I call him Encyclopedia Brent because he's worked for the drain office for 20 years. And he's got a mind like a steel trap. He's great. Because I can ask him, say, when did you work on that? 10 years ago, I think. And you're like, wow, okay, but so it all works out good. Yeah, he's great to work with. But also, yeah, if you guys, anyone else ever has drainage concerns or problems, even if it's not in the county drain, please feel free to give our office a call. You know, we can direct you where to possibly go if it's a road commission issue or just kind of give you a general insight of even a contractor or something that would be a job for it. So that being said, thank you for your time today.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the second row? You may come up to the podium and state your name and address, please.
Before I make my comments, I just want to ask some clarifying questions. My public comments are regarding political campaign that I represent. Wondering if this is the public comment I should speak? Okay. So first off, let me identify myself. My name is, and thank you for having me and having us. My name is Diop Harris. I live at 35 Magnolia Avenue in Battle Creek, so not Saugatuck Township. But I'm here today as your guys' prospective board partner. I'm running for Congress in Michigan's 4th Congressional District, so I'm looking to represent all of you guys in DC come January 3rd next year. And I'm heartened to hear the discussion around township finances, and I want to give you a couple areas in which I think I can help. So one of my dreams when I get to Washington DC is to expand regional transit throughout this district. I'm from Battle Creek, and selfishly, I want a bus ride to go from Battle Creek straight to Kalamazoo. It's too hard to go 2 hours to Detroit, hour and a half up to Grand Rapids. Folks in our district need an actual competitive airport and feel like they're connected to the rest of the world. Now, that doesn't really affect y'all up here in Saugatuck, but where I see some activity where we can get going is expanding that regional transit and have a dedicated line going straight from Grand Rapids Airport, straight to a major tourist attraction here in Saugatuck. We can make that happen. And I want to do that when I get into office. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. We're in a room with primarily some senior folks. And when I go to Congress, I want to revamp the tax code to allow grandparents to be grandparents. Offering the tax code to direct payment straight to grandparents who are taking care of their kids as kids. My own tribe does this. I'm a member of the Nottawassipi here in Band of Potawatomi tribe. And we pay our grandparents when they take care of their kids as kids. So not only does that lower the cost of childcare, but then that also increases paid labor where that labor is previously unpaid. I was raised by my grandmother and she took us all over the city, bought us grocery or, food from the grocery store. So I'm thinking we can use tax payments to help seniors provide care for their loved ones, keep them in a culturally competent environment, make sure they're in a loving environment. So just a couple ideas, but I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm going to be in and out of your guys' community. I was over at the city hall just on Monday. So I'm looking to engage early and often. Put me to work, ask me if there's anything I can help with amplifying on the ground. I'm here just to be a work partner. Thank you so much for the time and space. Hope to see you all at your outdoors.
Thank you very much.
I just want to give you guys some cards as well. You're on board.
Is there anybody in the room that would like to speak? Gail? Step up to the podium, state your name and address, please.
I'm Dale Harrison. I live at 3108 62nd Street, Saugatuck Township. Been around Saugatuck Township since about 72. So I've had a pretty good history of all the events and all the different activities over the 4.5, 5 decades. I'm here tonight to talk about something that's been a pressing issue for me and a lot of the neighbors and people around the community. I don't know if you remember this, the canary in the coal mine. Well, the first thing that came to my mind is short-term rentals. That's our canary in the coal mine. And to some extent, the bed breakfast communities as well. We're behind the 8 ball in as much as Park Township now has a prohibition. I've been to a couple of Lake Township board meetings, planning commission meetings. They have a moratorium. Planning commission is going through the process of trying to figure out how to put a cap on and how to deal with all the noise and disturbances. I don't know if you know, I had appealed before the ZBA to some tables. Does anybody not know that? You know, aware of it?
No.
Yes. Is the mic on?
It is on. We have to speak into it.
I didn't hear it on.
Well, maybe you can make it up. I'm kind of soft-spoken and. Yeah. Anyway, at next month's meeting, I'm gonna sit down and have a session with the board and try to get more involved, more give and take. But tonight, I just want to send the alarm out that things are really out of control in the township. We have about 200 or so short-term rentals and Airbnbs. I can't figure out which ones are which because according to Morgan, they're all on the same list, so they're not broken out as to which is the short-term rental, which is a bed and breakfast, which is a long-term rental. But for example, Lake Town has about 200, they think, about 100 that have been registered, and about 100 that are not registered. I don't know how many we have other than this quota. It looks like in the last 5 years, we've got about 95. And that's pretty alarming. The central character of our community has changed dramatically. It's bad schools, it takes housing for families out of the circuit because people are buying up properties for short-term rentals. If just half the houses that are set up short-term rentals in Lake Town and Saugatuck Township were sold to a family that had 2 kids, for example. If those 2 kids spend 10 years in our school system, it amounts to about $20 million. We're losing out because of the short-term rentals are impacting so negatively against the school system and their budget. And there's capacity at here in Saugatuck to allow for 150 students. So I know you got a time limit here. I'll probably come back later on after the meeting is progressed and give you a little more information. But basically, we need the moratorium and try to figure this stuff.
Yeah, your time was up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the third row that would like to
I
speak?
have a quick question before I come up, because I'm on the list at number 10 is the Lakeshore Drive stuff. Should I wait until that?
There's no public comment for that, so this is the time if you want to speak.
That's visual. I'm Sue Benzel, 2492 Lakeshore Drive, Benville. And I know a lot of work has gone into trying to figure out how to keep everybody safe with emergency vehicle access, everything else. Currently Lakeshore Drive is my neighborhood, and it is filled with neighborhood activities, pedestrians, bicyclists, walking, jogging, running. And it seems as though decisions are being made, and this is just the optics that I have, that decisions being made to meet the grant of a timing of the grant to get funding, which would put us under federal road guidelines and everything else. And for safety for everybody, I think one thing that's missing in some of those activities is it's not just pedestrian walking, it's pedestrian crossing. Everybody who's on the east side walks to the lake. And there's a lot of pedestrian back and forth traffic, not just along, that a side trail wouldn't help. So just being able to control speed limits and stuff would really be helpful.
Thank you, Sue.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else in the third row that would like to speak? Fourth row?
Thank you for what you do. Linder called me 202 Lakeshore. I expressed my concerns and I'm gonna do it again. The new grant that is unsigned. I am asking that you guys rescind your vote and take your time. We are not saying that we don't care about the emergency access because it is critical and I'm on your side with that. I talked to the chief and expressed my concerns. He's expressed his. With the 55 mph, he's just as concerned as we are. I understand that this is imperative at some point that we need to do it. But this grant probably will get denied, maybe get denied, but may get approved. And once we sign this, once we start down that Crippley Creek, we're gonna have less and less opportunity to design it and do it. And when I read all the criteria, I have a niece who works for Caltrans and she has stated that some of the things that I have found states that if we take our time, if we rescind it and we do a more fine tooth of information, the data on the VMT, which is the vehicles miles traveled. The data in that grant, that is not in there. It is the data in there right now is just for existing. It does include escalated summertime now or in the past. It doesn't include the new traffic that will be thrown down there and down Lakeshore Drive. It does not include waves or traffic backups or traffic closures. And we all know what happens around here with traffic closures. So that data that is in there about how many cars per day will travel is incorrect and not valid. So my concern with that more than anything is, why wasn't it? When will we find out? Is that data that Craig and MDOT and ACRC gives it to us is after we have no more choices? And now all of a sudden, we do have the 55 mph road and maybe even wider than what's proposed at the maximum 22. I'm being facetious, but we don't know. And that scares the living daylights out of me because now it dumps onto Lakeshore Drive, where you and the planning board did a beautiful job putting that overlay in. And that overlay is going to be nixed. And as Daniel and I talked the other day, he said, you know, because my concern was that this, before I even put all this together in this big picture of that VMT number is critical to this, and it's not there. And we don't know.
Thank you, Lynn. Your 3 minutes are out.
I'll come back.
Anybody else in the third row or fourth row? Dan.
Wally Peterson, 2614 Lakeshore Drive in Fayetteville. First, I want to thank all of the trustees and to Daniel for everything you do for the township. I'm a huge fan. Everything you do to make us better. But that's something we all have in common. I'd like to echo the letter that I sent to you this morning, echoing Lynn and many of my neighbors, asking that you ideally rescind or at the very least pause your vote to move forward with this grant. My husband and I moved to the township in 2018 after living in Douglas for 13 years. A big reason we chose our neighborhood is its relative quiet rural nature. And we absolutely support the overarching effort to reconnect the area affected by the washout all those years ago, both to protect homeowners adversely impacted by bluff erosion and for convenience and safety reasons. And we're especially happy with the collaboration between the township and Douglas and Saugatuck to establish the new emergency services facility at the Douglas Municipal Building. And we thank you all and Chief Janik for his role in that. But we remain concerned about the proposed solution as spelled out in the grant you're on the cusp of signing. Last month's board meeting stated the topic had been discussed extensively and that all public input had been considered. But mea culpa, my husband and I, we don't recall being contacted at all, nor were many of my neighbors. We think there are still a number of economic and environmental issues that still need to be addressed, but most important is the safety issue. The idea of introducing a 55-mile-per-hour highway and tons more traffic in the heart and on the periphery of our residential neighborhood is genuinely scary. And the fact that the future of Lakeshore Drive itself, the existing Lakeshore Drive itself, remains so cloudy is also very scary to us as we live on it. So that's why I'm here tonight, hoping we can slow things down and initiate further discussions to reach a solution that satisfies everybody. Thank you for listening, and again, for all you do.
Thank you, Ollie. Is there anybody else in the back couple of rows there? Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Becky Harton-Crandall, the Executive Director of the Interurban. I know I'm further down on the agenda, but I would like to first say thank you for everything that you do and encourage you to vote yes on adding Fenville to our authority. And that would mean that we would collect a millage from them as we do from the 3 municipalities right now. So that small area of the city of Fenville is 1 square mile. We currently serve that area with 3 stops, individual stops. We don't go door to door. But if we add them to our authority and millage passes, then in that 1 square mile, we can add them to our service as door to door service. That initially will add about 1/4 of a mile from distance from either of our 3 stops to each corner, which initially is about 58 cents per ride. So I'm here if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Becky. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to speak?
Good evening, my name is Lisa Adams. I live at 4115 65th Street in Holland. I am the Executive Director of Community Action of Allegheny County. You may or may not know about Community Action. We are a nonprofit that's been serving Allegheny County for 60 years. We just had our 60th anniversary last year. We do wraparound services for low-income and vulnerable people. And we had held for 20 years or more the hot home delivery meal program for our homebound seniors. And so you all know, everyone in the county pays a senior millage. And those millage funds are overseen by the Commission on Aging. And the Commission on Aging every 3 years puts out an RFP, request for proposal for new submissions on programs. It was our site to come up. We submitted an RFP. The other respondent was Meals on Wheels of Western Michigan out of Kent County, located in Granville. And the recommendation that went to the Board of Commission was to do away with and abandon the 20-year program that we had, which was a 5-day-a-week, every day, hot home delivery meal for our most vulnerable homebound seniors. To take that, set that aside, and adopt a 3-day-a-week frozen meal program. What I handed out to you is an FAQ on our hot home delivery meal program. What you have there are just a brief few of the testimonials that we received since the Board of Commission took this up on February 26th from seniors and their caregivers saying, please do not eliminate the hot home delivered meal daily wellness check program. Now, the county has signed a contract with Meals on Wheels of Western Michigan. Our contract was set to extend to March 31st. We've been advocating on this issue ever since the Board of Commissioners took it up on the 26th. And on Monday of this week, administration contacted me and told me that we had 2 days. As of today, Community Action is no longer providing the hot home delivery meals program, and Meals on Wheels, Western Michigan has taken over. We had 2 days to say goodbye to 330 seniors that we serve right now and let go 13 Allen County residents. So there's a lot here to unpack about this issue, but it really comes down, in my mind, on behalf of Community Action, on behalf of low income, asset limited, homebound seniors of all incomes. Seniors deserve, and their caregivers deserve, a choice. We've had frozen meals in Allen County available for the last, since 2016, I believe, there have been frozen meals available. We were the only entity providing a hot home delivered meal and a daily eye on seniors. To strip seniors and their caregivers of the choice to have a hot daily home delivery meal only exacerbates issues in and around their safety, issues in and around their isolation and sense of depression. Meal on Wheels says they're going to provide microwaves, and they will, and that will be fine. But senior millage is meant to provide the broadest blanket of supports for seniors of all mobilities, all infirmities. We have seniors who have macular degeneration. We have seniors with dementia. We have seniors with walkers who can't stand up in their kitchen. The list of ailments that goes with aging is that's not a big surprise. We're living longer, people 80 and 90 years. What are maybe the options for them? When you strip them of their choice, when their families don't live close enough to lay eyes on them every day in the way that we were. So I know I have limited time. I would just ask, I believe I've communicated with your supervisor here, that I would like you all to take up a resolution to reinstate hot home delivery meal daily and daily wellness checks to seniors. Gunplain Township has approved the resolution. Otsego has approved the resolution. We are advocating for this. I've been to 17 townships and board meetings since this went on the 26th of February. It's supposed to be in Clyde, and I'm here with you all because I made the decision to sit in the back row. But we need this program for our seniors. We need it desperately. And I want to say this before I leave you, because I know I have time. We are a grant funded organization. I run a $10 million program budget. You can see the portfolio of programs on the other side of that FAQ. This is not, at this point, about the grant. Grants come, grants go. But senior wellness, that is a commitment. It's our mission to advocate for them. And we just can't let this go until this is addressed for our seniors. So I'll be back in touch and maybe have an opportunity, if you allow, to do a deeper dive into this very important issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make a statement? Come up to the podium and state your name and address.
My name is Dave Baranek, and I live at 1026 70th Street in South Haven. And I work with Lisa at Community Action of Allen County. And you know, in the past, I've been aware of national politics and what's going on in Washington, D.C. and the mood there. And I haven't paid much attention to local politics, but I work in a room right next to those 13, 14 people who were let go yesterday. And it's really upsetting. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, but a lot of dedicated people, they don't make a great amount of money, but their heart's in it. And your county commissioners have done a dirty deed here. I hope you recognize that. Not only in the decision that they made, in the way they arrived at that decision, but the way this word was delivered the other day that your contract is not going through March 31st, it ends tomorrow. You know, being a bit naive politically, I thought that the whole MAGA thing would stay in DC and we never have to see it locally. This is the first time I'm aware of these kind of decisions being done in this way, in a mean-spirited way, and the way they were done. And the only people, I don't know anybody who's benefiting from it, but hopefully we're able to get these MAGA Republicans off that board. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to speak? Come up to the podium and state your name and address.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Elizabeth Inglesman. I live at 1636 24th Street, Allegan. So I'm not a Saugatuck resident. As of yesterday, I was the meal carrier here. I'm one of 13 people. And it's not a matter of, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna really miss the job, but you know what? My heart goes out to our seniors. I had Fenville, Douglas, Saugatuck. It was a long day yesterday because we had one day to say goodbye. And there was a lot of confusion. I just really feel like the county pulled a fast one on us, and then we well, I'm not gonna say we retaliated, but we got out and started spreading the word about how important it was to have a daily check on these seniors. And they just decided with their whatever section 4 in the rules, they could say, well, you're done now. So we did have some seniors. I've had some people, one in particular text me, his mom is deaf, and he said they were all supposed to have their Meals on Wheels today. They're frozen. And he said, my mom waited all day. So we'll keep advocating for them. I mean, it's so important. It's just, I just feel like they got lost because of a budget, and they shouldn't. We are the eyes and the ears for our people. There's been several times that many of us drivers have found somebody on the floor. I had a lady who was laying there for 25 minutes and she had a beeper on it. She couldn't push that. But in the way that she fell, it went behind her and she had her hands underneath her. So when I got there, I was able to at least set her up. I couldn't pick her up and I wouldn't, but I set her up and then we were able to call for help. But it just, I don't know, it's just sad. Being that I was the Saugatuck driver, I wanted to come and, I said I wasn't gonna cry, so I'm sorry. But anyhow, yeah, it's just a very important program and I'm really sorry to see that they did it that way. And I do hope that they reinstate it. It's important to see those seniors every day. So anyhow, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to speak? Anywhere in the room?
You have Zoom, but you.
We have Zoom, too. Anybody on Zoom? Can you raise your hand, please? Push the raise your hand button.
Maybe say it one more time.
Anybody on Zoom that would like to make a public comment is welcome at this time. Just raise your hand so we know that to unmute you. You seeing anything, Daniel?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, then we will go ahead and close the public comment section of the meeting. And move on to the consent agenda. And that's the approval of the agenda. Is there anyone that'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll support. Moved by Helmrich, supported by Aldrich. Any more discussion?
Do we need to include in the additional?
That's
I think the consensus.
they're already in the consent.
Oh,
Like, we'll say, and then.
Amended consent.
as amended.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed? Consent agenda is approved as amended. The agenda. Next up on our agenda is other new business.
Well, I think you have to do the consent agenda.
Oh, we'll do the consent agenda. Is there anybody that would like to make a motion on the consent
I'll
agenda?
move to approve the consent agenda with the already provided financial.
I'll support.
Motion by Helmrich, supported by Marcy. All those, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. That will take our next item of discussion, strategic discussions and actions on Lakeshore Drive preferred alternatives. Family, would you like to? Talk what that's about, tell us what it's about.
Sure, I can introduce it. So essentially, at our last meeting, we talked about formally communicating with the road commission and getting involved with them in the development of alternative routes than the one that's being proposed in the build grant application. I've talked to Craig extensively about that, like essentially the route that's being proposed is not necessarily a route itself, it's an area that a road could fit in. And knowing how a federal grant application is gonna work, there will be a request for alternative routes, there will be a request for opportunities to mitigate impacts to the environment and any kind of cultural resources that could be found in that area. We are in an area with rich cultural resources and known archaeological sites, so that could very well impact the route of the project. So this is kind of an opportunity for you all to give me some input if you would like, that I can then memorialize and discuss with the road commission. Just to remind you all, in the past, we did do a formal letter to the road commission, and we did outline specific concerns. One of them was the dimension of the road, both in its width and in fact that it's a straight road. That we would like it to see, we'd like to see it designed to be more of a neighborhood road, so it's more fitting with the existing neighborhood. So that means smaller dimension, maybe more dramatic curves or stop signs that would warrant slower speeds. We did express concerns with tree removal. I'm trying to think what else. We did recommend the bike trail to give some, an alternative for pedestrians, and that would just be along the proposed route, not along Lakeshore Drive. We do have an adopted non-motorized non-motorized infrastructure master plan, and there is no pedestrian infrastructure proposed for Lakeshore Drive. Just to be clear on that. And we do have, as we get to another grant item, our Safe Street Action Plan. That action plan covers every street in the township, including the proposed road. And we did that intentionally so that we would have the funds to work with the road commission and the time with a professional consultant to go through and look at alternatives. So when you get to the point where you're considering approval of that grant agreement with the Federal Highway Administration, know that there is $15,000 that we did set aside specifically to look at alternative routes and concepts for the Lakeshore Drive area. So it could be little picture things that you contribute now, it could be big picture thoughts. I know that the public gave us a lot of great feedback, and I think it gives us a good sense of what their concerns are. And what we can work with the consultant to come up with those alternatives. And it's nice that in that specific situation, we're driving the bus. We're the ones leading it, we're gonna be the ones developing the alternatives, we're gonna, be publishing that document. It's gonna be with the road commission at the table, but we're the ones developing it. So I guess in general, anything that comes to mind with concerns for Lakeshore Drive that we can then translate into working with a professional consultant and seeing how that might play out in alternative road designs.
So when was that communication made to them?
The letter,
Yeah.
that was communicated back before we put together, so this is the second year we're applying for this grant. We did not get this grant this year. So prior to application to the grant last year, we submitted that letter. And it's got we developed it with Lene, and it's got a whole series of points that the township board was concerned with. And elements that we would like to see integrated into the new road.
I think it'd be helpful to see it again.
I can forward
I
it.
don't know if we saw it before or not.
You approved it,
Okay.
yeah, I can send it to you, yeah, but you all read it and approved
It'd
it,
be nice to see that.
yes, I can send it to you.
My suggestion would be not only seeing that and discuss this more tonight, bearing in mind all the comments we've heard. It just seems kind of prudent to me that we write or draft a new letter to the road commission from the entire board and staff. Just memorializing previous, maybe everything was already mentioned.
We could do that, I think that, I would, from a staff perspective, I think that our energy is better directed towards working with the road commission to plan for the public input session. Cause I think that the public's got a lot to say, and then to have like an organized session to get all that information. Because I think it would just be a repeat of what we've said, but to have like an active engagement with the public, like that would just be, cause there's limited staff time right
Do we
now.
know when that would be?
Well, that's what I would do, is work with them to plan to do that.
Like a stakeholder meeting?
Like a stakeholder meeting, probably would define stations to give folks the opportunity to speak in smaller groups. And work with like a facilitator and then memorialize all those comments. And then again, we could put together kind of a final, stakeholder report, something like that. But to get everything on record and then give people the opportunity to talk to a human being one-on-one, to look at some plans. And I think that would be helpful going into that Safe Street Action Plan too, when we're actually looking at the alternative routes, to have that information available to us.
No, and I know we've shared that before with the public and the audiences.
Yeah,
Just concerned, like, is that months away or?
it's probably a few months away. It's gonna take some planning effort because we think we wanna do it thoughtfully.
Right.
And we wanna have something that, like an outcome, so that we can submit to the action plan, but it's probably gonna be a few months. Cause we have to coordinate, pick a date with the road commission. We're gonna wanna talk through what the stations look like, what we're trying to get out of it.
No, that's the presentation. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I just think I'd be more comfortable that if the board agreed on certain points, maybe on a bunch of points, that we memorialize that in a communication to the road commission.
We could resubmit the letter that we have.
Well, that's why I'd like to see it again. Well, let's all review it.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to discuss other points tonight or not, but I mean, it's on the agenda and the public's here listening, so.
Okay, any more questions for Daniel? Everybody else said it?
Does anyone want to offer items that they would like to see in a potential letter, a second letter? Or-
I almost wanna see the first
Yeah,
letter.
I'm
but
with
Well,
again,
that's-
it's
that's-
been
that's
a while,
honestly-
I can't really recall everything out.
Well, just for the record, and I'm sure they're in there.
Yeah.
Things that I had jotted down for tonight. I mean, I think, pretty much think we're all in agreement on these. And to me, probably the number one issue is the speed limit. I think we've already told them we want it to be 35 miles an hour. There's the issue of the width of the road and the shoulders. Potential bike trail along the road. The route itself, we actually talked about it last month.
What about the bike trail? Do you not want to see it? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, no, I think we're okay with it.
Okay,
Yeah,
oh, I see what you're saying.
yeah.
The residents are, they
Yeah.
kind of spoke about that, so
No, and
I don't know.
And I know the route's not determined, but we did talk about us going on field trips and all of us
Yeah,
to look at this
well,
So,
If
We
there's
we
no-
could try to do that. I'm gonna tell you, I did a field trip on it and it is it can be wet and there's topography and there are ticks. So you can come if you would like, and I'm just warning you that.
we got one of these boots,
Okay.
we're game, I think it makes sense that we visualize this, and I know some of you might have run my computer, a rep to the road commission.
Okay.
So that's the route, location, field trip. Yeah, and maybe there's others, that, like I said, let's review the previous one. We're not trying to make more work, but I think
Okay.
as things move along and the grant application, you know, it's a different, because as you said, we applied once, we applied again. And I would take comfort, and I think our residents would take comfort seeing that.
Yeah, we can, again, absolutely send you all the letters so you can see
Okay.
it. Yeah.
And we could either play with it or whatever, you know, we can help, you don't have to do, you know, the wordsmith. Right?
Right, sounds good.
Ally? You're happy.
We have some other new business that would be starting with wastewater standards adoption. Daniel, I'm calling you again to introduce us to this.
Yes, so for tonight, for consideration, we have wastewater collection system construction standards. Currently, the township has not adopted standard community construction standards for extension of the sewer system. So that's what's being proposed. Brian Newhoff did some research, they looked at what other communities do, best practices, and then also what the infrastructure material looks like in our own community, and put together this construction standard document for you to review. If we were to adopt it, you are first going to adopt an ordinance that allows you to amend the zoning ordinance to adopt a water supply and wastewater collection system construction standards. And then you will adopt a resolution that actually accepts these specific wastewater construction standards. But we have projects on the horizon that are involving the extension of sewer, so this is the appropriate time to do it. It provides transparency to developers in terms of what's going to be expected of them. And then it also provides the township with some teeth to require that the standards are met.
Thank you. That's what I understood that to be about, so just kind of clarify it for us. We're doing first the ordinance, then the resolution, then adopting the standards.
So the motion, you can do it all at once if you, yep, it's a twofer.
Is there anybody that would like to make a motion tonight regarding wastewater standards?
I move to adopt ordinance number 2026-02. An ordinance to amend chapter 36 of the Township Code of Ordinances to add new sections 36 to 93 and 36 to 257 to authorize the Township Board to establish standard construction requirements for the water supply and wastewater collection system by resolution, and to adopt resolution number 2026-03, authorizing and adopting the standard construction requirements for the Saugatuck Township water supply and wastewater collection system.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion by Marcy, support by Aldrich. Is there any further discussion on this? Any questions? Yeah, further discussion? You're all set? Done? Okay, all those in favor? Oh, we have to do
A roll call.
Okay, Marcy,
Yes.
Aldrich,
Yes.
Osmond, yes. Albert,
Yes.
motion carries 4-0. Adding the city of Fernville as a member of the interurban authority. Daniel, do you want to present that?
Yes, I can't find the page. Oh, it was wrong, thank you. Yes. All right, so the interurban board has voted to approve amendment of the articles of incorporation of the Interurban Transit Authority to add the city of Fenville as a member of the authority. And that would involve Fenville having 2 voting members now being added to the authority board. And would result in on-demand service being provided to the city of Fenville. This is all contingent upon 2 out of the 3 municipalities voting to approve adding Fenville City to the authority via a resolution, which you have provided. And then Fenville would then proceed with a millage initiative in their city. I can definitely say that, you know, this has been something that I think is being discussed amongst the municipalities for quite some time. Fenville has I shouldn't say she's a new city manager anymore, but Katie Beamer's been in the city of Fenville for a few years now. The Interurban has, again, I guess not new anymore, but somewhat new leadership in Becky. And both of them taking the initiative to bring Fenville into the fold after it's just been a topic of conversation for so long, really shows just a great deal of initiative. And I think we all pride ourselves on the idea of collaboration, especially with our municipal neighbors. Fenville really does embody the value of collaboration and cooperation, and the fact that they're willing to come to the table and say that they want to join and go through all the process, I think says a lot. So, yep, this is, if this is a direction that you all would like to go in, you can vote on this resolution to amend the articles of incorporation to add the city of Fenville. And then if you do have any specific questions, I could try to answer them. But we also have the director of the Interurban present in the audience.
Are we the first board to discuss this so far?
We are.
Wow. That's great.
And if 2 of the 3 to pass this resolution in a timely fashion, do we know when the millage could get on the Fenville ballot?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I think that they could,
I'm sorry.
I think they could still make the deadline. Megan, do you
In
know?
August, it'll be August or December.
August or December, okay,
Yep.
perfect.
Very good. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
I would love to. I move to adopt resolution 2026-05. A resolution approving an amendment to the Articles of Incorporation of the Interurban Transit Authority to add the city of Fenville as a member of the authority.
I'll support.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Any questions? This would be a roll call vote, so Aldrich,
Yes.
Helmrich,
Yes.
Marcy,
Yes.
Osmond, yes. Motion carries 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item is the SS4A grant agreement with FHWA.
Yes. Yeah, so for the board's review is a grant agreement with the Federal Highway Administration to approve the township's Safe Streets for All grant to complete a Safe Street Action Plan. So the grant would provide $140,000 with a required 20% match. We've already included that match in this year's budget, so there's no budget amendment that that's required at this time. The agreement's been reviewed by the township attorney and very thoroughly by the FHA. So staff recommendation is for you to approve the agreement, if you so wish to do so.
And just to clarify, the 20% match that's in our budget from us is $28,000.
Yeah, I think I budgeted a little more, but yeah, I think yeah.
Thank you.
You're very
I
welcome.
know we discussed that, yes.
Okay, this is the Safe Street Action Plan. Is there anyone who would like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the Safe Streets for All grant agreement between Saugatuck Township and the Federal Highway Administration and authorize the township manager to execute the agreement.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion by Marcy, support by Helmut. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. This could be a voice vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carried 4-0. And our next item is the Progressive Proposal Safe Street Action Plan.
Yes, so this is a proposal from Progressive Companies to act as our consultant in the development of the Safe Street Action Plan. I'm sure you're familiar with Progressive, so Progressive Companies helped us develop the Blue Star Highway Corridor Safety Plan. And we would like to continue working with them. They have a really progressive perspective on road safety, and I think Brenda, we work closely with them, and I think we really value their pedestrian focused perspective on safety, which is very eye-opening. And definitely challenges a lot of the agencies that we work with. I think in a good way, it pushes them to be better. And I think having that perspective in looking at how we can improve the safety of our streets is critical. So this would be a proposal, if you accepted it, to do all of the consulting work. And again, I said that there's $15,000 in this proposal that is specifically set aside for looking at Lakeshore Drive, or the proposed route that would run parallel to Lakeshore Drive.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the proposal from Progressive Companies for professional planning services to develop a safe streets action plan.
I'll support.
Motion by Helmut, support by Aldrich. All those or any more discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Then I think the next thing we have on our agenda is the ODC proposal and Parks Commission contribution request.
Yes.
Daniel?
Yes, so we have a proposal from the ODC network to update the township land conservation strategic plan. I think the first strategic plan is excellent and, outlines the priorities for the township, outlines or highlights parcels that we should be putting in for acquisition, conservation, easements. I think one of the challenges with that, or the limitation, is that it doesn't really consider connectivity, both in terms of getting around, like actual, connections of trails and parks, and also the creation of habitat corridors. And so the ODC would be able to take our plan, take existing regional plans that have been developed by other stakeholders in the land conservation arena, and help us really fine tune that plan so that Parks has a very clear outline about what parcels that we should be consistently pursuing for acquisition and for grants. And then what property owners we should be contacting early and often to secure easements from. The cost for doing all that work is gonna be $7,500. Parks does not have it currently in their budget, so part of the approval of this motion would also be authorizing an additional $7,500 be transferred to the Parks and Recreation Fund.
If this were to pass, would that budget amendment be this fiscal year or not till after July 1st?
That is a good question. It's possible it's not until next fiscal year, because the length of the project's gonna be 4 to 6 months, and we'll probably take a little time before we can have a kickoff meeting, so it's quite possible it won't be till next fiscal year. But
Then it would be in the budget itself.
then it would be in the budget
If
itself.
it's sooner, then it's in the next.
Yes, and it might be that we pay some of it now and some of it next fiscal
Okay.
year.
That works.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal from the Outdoor Discovery Center Network in the amount of $7,500 and authorize funding from the Township General Fund.
I'll support.
Motion by Aldrich, supported by Marcy. All those in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. I think the next item on our agenda is the new township employee position. Daniel, once again, you're up.
Yeah, so, as we are all aware, we did have an employee recently depart on very good terms, and we're very proud of her, next move in Kalamazoo, Morgan, which I wish you were here operating Zoom right now, but I miss her quite a bit. But it does open up an opportunity for the township. Morgan had, an interesting job where she was doing kind of basic data entry, but then she was doing a lot of higher level things, and I think as we grow and we're doing more, what's the word I'm looking for, ambitious projects. There is clearly a need for more support at the staff level. And so I've been kind of contemplating it, talking to staff, talking to township board members of how we might approach this. And I think the thinking now is that we could divide the position in two and hire just a data entry person for permits, and then think about creating a position. I think that we can still kind of discuss the name, but what I'm kind of leaning towards is community development coordinator. And that position would be assisting with the planning department, they would be assisting with the building department, really helping to streamline applications as they come in and work with developers. And make it a kind of a seamless project, and also to make sure that there are no loose ends going unlooked. I think that this person could also help with our economic development goals, creating a corridor improvement authority that would help capture additional tax revenue from the county to help further improve and implement the plans we have for the Blue Star Highway corridor. This person could be helping with general communication for the township, putting together public input sessions, handling communication with the public. I think that there's definitely a need. I mean, which we love hearing from the public, and we learn a lot from the public. And I think we have a really great resident base who care and want things to be better. So to be able to have someone dedicated to that work, I think would be great. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of needs that I see that I would like to do more in, and there's just less and less bandwidth with more and more we do. So I think I don't like to take on people unnecessarily, and we run a really lean, tight ship, but I think we're just at the point where we're ready to take that next step and grow. So my proposal to all of you is the consideration of kind of a green light to develop a job description for community development coordinator, publish that position, and then create a hiring committee to review applicants as they come in.
I think it's a great idea. I think we could cross-train people too. I mean, if Lori's gone or Cindy's gone, and the loss of Morgan is felt by everyone, and I just think we definitely need more help, and it would be a great opportunity for someone to learn. You were talking about possibly a student or that might be interested in starting out here and learning, and I think that's a great idea, so I'm all for it.
No, I applauded yesterday the split between different ones. And I know when we vote today, we're not voting on the job description or financials. I think the overview is maybe a tad high on salary, but we can discuss that when we do the job description. And again, if it's like you said, a student or someone curious or one of each, then I think we have to balance things. It's just a discussion to have later.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I will motion to authorize the township manager to create a new administrative position, develop a job description and advertise the opening, and to establish a part-time data entry position to support township administrative operations.
I'll support.
Motion by Marcy, support by Helmrich. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0. And the next one, I'm going to ask, I'm gonna give Daniel a break, and I'm gonna ask John to discuss the principles of governance.
Okay, and it jives with what I was gonna do in my board comments. So these are all issues to do with the Michigan Townships Association, which, as you all may remember, it's one of the first things we did back in November 2018. In Saugatuck Township, that was one of only, I think, 3 townships in the state. 1,200 townships, only 3 were members. It's one of the smartest things we ever did. So we saw yesterday the principles of governance, which they've asked us to endorse. I don't think it's in the packet, I don't think it's through them, do I? But it's all about high standards of ethical conduct, openness and transparency, compliance with all state and federal statutory requirements. It's certification that all the board members will have to sign. We did do this, I lost track, maybe 5 years ago. So I think we're very much open to signing this again. Should I make that motion now or go into my report on the?
I think it would be interesting to hear it in conjunction.
In conjunction, because along with this is like a first step. Last month, we talked about MTA gives out Township of Excellence Awards. And there's a lot of pages of criteria. But the one that struck me the most was a lot of it has to do with how many MTA or Michigan Association of Planning or the Treasurers Association, how many training sessions or programs all the board members have done, the planning commission members have done. And then it's a lofty goal, I think, but I said I would report back from a budget point of view. Because there are requirements, I've handed this out, you all have this, but for example, supervisors must attend 2 MTA trainings or conferences in the last every 2 years. 2. Treasurer must go to 2 of 5 MTA events. And planning commission members have to, all 7 members must go to 1 land use seminar done either by MTA or the MAP, the Planners Association. At least 2 board members must do emergency management training. That's a simple one, because that's done by FEMA. You can do it online and there's no cost.
Okay.
So, but I included that. So, and this one I mentioned to you yesterday. They require that we've created a list of all vacant properties in the township that are zoned, that could be commercial or industrial. So at minimum, with the training point of view, probably costs this is so exact, but $3,047 a year. I factored in mileage, knowing what, most of the annual conferences in Traverse City, so mileage, hotel based on the application forms. The only one, it could be a little high, planning commission, because the things they might attend. I know when I went to one with Dave Eiley back a few years ago, it was in Grand Rapids, but sometimes they're in Frankenmuth. So I think the 3,000 is a low minimum because of the potential mileage thing. So again, that would be something for our discussions with the budget. I don't think we have to take action today, but I think it's something we should strive for. And then maybe the new administrative person can keep track of all this. And I look at it, because essentially, I know I was on planning commission for a few years. Not many planning commissions have done this. Some have done, I know, the Michigan State.
Yes.
So, but we all could do more, and we've all done some. So if we do put this in the budget, then I think we're committing to, we may not get the Excellence Award next year, but, and a lot of the things on their list, strategic planning, I mean, that's covered. That's just filling out the application. It's a process, but I think it's worth doing. And regardless of that aspect, I certainly think we should sign on to the principles of governance again. So I'll be happy to make a motion to adopt the Michigan Townships Association Principles of Governance as presented.
I'll support. Oh, I forgot the discussion, sorry.
Oh,
that's after.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries 4-0.
I was just gonna add, the annual MTA conference in Traverse City, I think is in 2 weeks. No, it's in April. It's probably, no, it's not technically too late, but we could consider sending 1 or 2 people. Last time, 3 years ago, I went with
Becky.
Becky was.
Okay, future topics. We have the management performance evaluation.
Oh, yes. And I think that we did we settle on, we're gonna do April closed session for the committee of the whole?
Right.
Okay, so I will plan on that.
And you're gonna get the forms out.
Yes, oh yeah, and I will get the forms out.
Didn't we fill those up recently? Fill his
A year ago.
I felt like I did it just.
Yesterday.
It was less than a year ago, because we did it way late. We did it in like July or August, because the server was just.
They'll just change the date.
Okay, so now we will open the meeting back up to public comments. So if there's anyone in the room that would like to make a public comment, please step to this podium and state your name and address.
I won't keep you long. It's Doug Manning, 2566 Lakeshore Drive. I wanted to talk about a new subject. And it's really a concern with state legislation that's relating to zoning and planning. And the state is trying to do things to build affordable housing and encourage that. And I salute that concept. But I think this would significantly restrict local control over zoning and planning matters in Saugatuck Township. And I think to an alarming extent, where they're trying to find one size fits all rules that would apply to counties. And there are some like 1,800 townships, villages, cities in the state of Michigan, some in the UP, some in the middle of Detroit, and they range from rural to urban. Some that are growing, developing communities, some that are very stagnant communities. We understand they're all changing in some way. But I really firmly believe that we need local control to manage this township and what we think this township should be. And not have arbitrary one-size-fit-all rules imposed on us by the state. We understand that we need more affordable housing. We're working to do that. But we think that we have solutions that will fit with Saugatuck Township better than some state mandated thing. You know, and as a township, we're seeking to balance the needs of housing, economic development, environmental protection, infrastructure capacity with sewers and all of that fun stuff, and neighborhood character. And those are things that I don't think can be mandated at a state level, with all due respect to them. I understand that our local state house representative, and this is where these bills are enacted, is supporting this. And so I think that I would propose that our township stand up in opposition to that. Try to convince Mr. Andrews that maybe one size fits all isn't good for everything. And there are other steps maybe the state could be taking that would promote affordable housing. But let us in Saugatuck Township have the authority to manage our own zoning and planning, which we think because we think we know best what's good for our community.
Thank you, Doug.
Can I just comment for my colleagues and the audience? Both the Michigan Townships Association and the Michigan Association of Planners were members of both those organizations. They are strongly fighting that legislation. And there are elements of it that we've already adapted when we redid our whole zoning ordinance 3 years ago now. You know, like minimum house size. I mean, there are things that we've tried to be proactive about. And that's the joke.
Yeah.
there anybody else in the room that would like to make a comment? Name and address, 3 minutes.
Dale Harrison, 3108 62nd Street. Can you hear me okay?
No,
Yeah, you can now.
Oh, you turned the mic on.
No, you're talking closer to it.
Anyway, thanks for listening. I want to share with you my story about a short-term rental across the street from me. Last summer, there were cars parked everywhere, my property, in the street right away. They called the sheriff, they came out, they looked at it, they turned their property line, but anyway, I was never even notified that a short-term rental was even proposed across the street from me. Now, I used to be in Saugatuck Township, rentals, short-term and otherwise, were required to go through a special land use approval process. Now, these short-term rentals are a new thing, so to speak. Lake Town is way ahead of us, but they've still got a lot of work to do to protect their neighborhoods. So I filed this appeal with the ZBA, and it's kind of tabled right now, because I want to give kind of courtesy connection with the board and the planning commission. The fact that they can put a commercial establishment in a residential area without giving notice to property owners, adjacent property owners, leaves the township wide open to substantial process violation protected by Michigan's Constitution. So I've kind of lost my right to use and enjoy my property the way I bought it. The zoning was protected, a nice, beautiful rural area next to a natural reserve overlay district. Beautiful, couldn't be happier. And then this comes along, and it really has dramatically affected my personal life, my family, and some of my neighbors. Unfortunately, the zoning administrator did not review the application, as I understand it now. Some of I think 150 approvals in the last 4 years in various rental projects. So even though the ordinance requires zoning administrators to review and sign off on it, that hasn't been happening. I think it's happening now because of my complaint. But so that's. I don't want to get involved with litigation against the township, but you can't force my hand on it. You know, I got to protect my rights to use and enjoy my property as well as my grandchildren and my immediate family. So I'll be corrected. Well, you got to stall the process and get familiar with what the issues are, because right now, you guys aren't appraised of this, it sounds like. If someone in my community filed a complaint before the ZBA, that would be some moment of topic for discussion on the agenda. Personally, I think that's important. When we did the zoning here a few years ago, 24 was passed. Short-term rentals are actually part of that process because for whatever reasons, I'm not sure, the short-term rental ordinance is in the code, the municipal code of ordinances in a certain location. So it was never brought up. I know it was never adequately reviewed.
Thank you, Dale.
You know, you need to give me some time here. You really do. Give me a couple more minutes.
I'll give you 2 more minutes.
Okay. So one of the issues here with the zoning is the courts have decided universally in the state of Michigan that short-term rentals are a commercial use. Commercial use, not a residential use. Now, the zoning administrators insist that they're residential and they have a right to get these permits without review of the neighborhoods or a special land use approval. The planning commission needs to catch up with the zoning, with the law of the land, and even your own zoning planner talking extensively about the need to update the zoning consistent with current law. So we need to do that. I mean, not that it protects the neighborhood, but it also protects you folks from litigation. A couple more points. And I'm going to send out, when I finish this, and I hope in the next 10 days, a copy of my complaint, my appeal to everyone, so that you get an idea of some of the issues. I don't want to get into the particulars here, it'd be a long meeting. But I do want to say one thing about affordable housing in Saugatuck Township. Seriously, You find a lot in Saugatuck Township under 100,000. You know, you're gonna build 1,000 square foot, you're up to 500,000 plus 100,000 for the lot. That's not affordable. That's one of the things that the short-term rentals are in many ways jacking up the price of housing in our community. If it weren't for them, the housing would be more affordable, if you will. Thanks again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Dale. Is there anybody else that would like to stand up and make a public comment?
Yeah, there, 35 Julia Battle Creek, just clarifying some things I missed out on earlier, we were talking about rural or regional transit. You know, having a line from the airport here, that'd be nice. But I think something that would make more impact in folks' lives is having expanded paratransit, especially for veterans who, you know, have a hard time getting to, I know they're not coming all the way to Battle Creek, so they're probably going to Grand Rapids, might be going to Ottawa County, but otherwise might have a hard time getting there. And bringing in DOT dollars to bring in main bus lines also brings in rapid transit, paratransit, so it expands options for folks to get around. And then I just wanted to hit on the topic of Meals on Wheels, because I was at the city meeting on Monday, where this was brought up before the program was ended. You know, I've had some experience working on this issue at the federal government, working in the United States Senate. And it's a travesty that we would end a program like this. I was just knocking doors in Battle Creek yesterday and collecting signatures in my campaign, whatever. But I ran into this guy, he signed my petition. He was like, oh, I gotta run back home. I gotta grab my meal. And I saw it, he stopped doing yard work at this lady's house he was at. He went home, grabbed his meal and came back and sat outside. He was so happy. And to see that yesterday and to hear the emotions in this room today, and it stops me in my tracks, and I was, you know, tearing up over there. It's, you know, our commitment to veterans and seniors, it just truly shows where we're at in this country, and we're sick. The people who've given most to our country are treated the worst, and we need to flip that script. Otherwise, what do us young people have to look forward to? There's no social security, you know, that's why you see young people, you know, scamming, you know, not going to school. It's hard for us to envision a future because things like Meals on Wheels, social security are getting peeled back. So what are we doing this for? Well, that's not my mentality. I'm in this because I want to make life better for not only seniors, but for middle-aged and young people in this country, especially here in Southwest Michigan. So thank you again. I hope to see y'all around here soon.
Thank you, Dale. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to make a public comment? Just.
I'm gonna hand you some more shit to read. Just because I love you guys. I'm sure you don't. I know Daniel definitely does that. Thank you. No problem. I just really want you to understand that you do have an opportunity to rescind. You know, at any point in time, well, not at any point in time, it's a limited point in time, so. I believe this will forever change our community. The back one is just, I belonged to the LMSA board at one time. And I just truly believed in William Irby Smith. I knew him and what he did. And Lakeshore Drive was going to be widened to a 66-foot wide back in 1962 or 3, I believe. And he bought it and won. And my fear is, because it has been threatened by ACRC to do so the last time they widened the south section of Ganges. I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know if it's logical, but I don't like being threatened. And when I get threatened, it scares me. That's why I've got yellow and red flags flying. Because there's data that should have been in that grant and it's not. And my question constantly is, why? And can I come back and spank us in the butt when it's too late? So please take your time. It's fine.
You're good.
Yeah.
That's
That's a first.
I appreciate you, I respect you, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
You know, there's such a thing County law. Green code.
Okay, is there anyone else in the room that would like to speak? How about on Zoom? Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak? Raise your hand.
Next for Kevin.
I'm not seeing anybody. Daniel?
Nope.
Nobody on Zoom that would like to speak? Okay, we'll go ahead and, have a motion to adjourn.
Board comments.
Oh, board comments, sorry.
Ready and set.
I'm going to thank you.
I think we have to look on this meal. This was heartbreaking to me too. It really, you know, was pretty sad. So I think we need to.
Well, we've got the information.
Yeah.
That was on my list.
Yeah, it's.
What really startled me about the whole thing is, I don't think any of us heard about this till Monday morning.
Right.
You know, I got a call from a concerned resident. Next thing we know, the county commissioners talking to us yesterday morning. That it's all a done deal. I don't know if the deal was even up.
And not until after it happened.
That's my point. And they ended the existing contract early. I just don't.
I just don't
the way
like this at all.
If the answer is us doing a resolution, if we can't do it now, but.
I'll share Lisa Evans, the executive director's contact information with everybody.
Yeah, well, then she was here too.
She was here, but I can give you her contact, you can email her, call her.
Okay. Well, I
I think we should join the
If you feel that
resolution
way,
with the other.
shouldn't be a done deal.
I
It
don't.
should be-
It's not a program.
The thing I noticed is after Brad spoke with us, he said there would be check-ins. But when I went home and read the printed material, it said no. So I don't know where that went awry. They said there wouldn't be check-ins.
I'm surprised. I think this program they had going, you know, I mean, for the seniors, they need to be checked on. I mean.
And the cook versus frozen.
Yeah, they wanna lay on the floor for 3 days or whatever, you
And
know?
I don't know where, if I read it or someone said it, that individuals would have a choice between the two, but
I think it said that in the paper.
I don't know if that's.
It was a little misrepresented
That's-
yesterday, honestly.
Yeah, well,
Alvin County.
If
Oh,
it's
Algebra.
choice, that's one thing.
Yeah, but it's-
I don't think it's a choice.
You're out, there.
Yeah, I think it was we were told that yesterday, I don't think, I think we were told it tonight a little bit clearer. That's my comment.
A question, okay.
It's not a question.
I know, I know, I'm only saying a month, I think like it's March and it's not March. I just was wondering if anyone knew potentially when we would have the, the budget, the budget workshop.
Probably end of April, early May.
Okay, thank you. And I know that's not next month, I'm just thinking.
No, it's coming up. I'm working with Peter on it this week and next week.
The most
Sorry.
exciting time of your year.
The only other comment just, I have is, I'd like us to maybe look into a little bit more clearly the short-term run.
Yeah.
We know that.
Because people have come before and
Yeah,
first time it's like, well, we don't have that many.
I get it.
And then it's, I'd like to learn more about what was said about, it's considered commercial. Don't think that's the law, but well,
I could provide you an update on what Mr. Harris said.
Okay.
Cause I can give you the whole background and.
no, and I'll talk to, obviously, to Renee about it.
Yes, and she knows all about
It's
it.
worth us being more aware.
Yes.
I have a copy if you'd like.
Okay,
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
In the next 10 days.
okay.
Well, maybe sooner, but it's the admission.
That's fine.
That's very likely.
That's good. Do you have any comments?
I do not have any comments.
Wow. Did a great job, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
And welcome.
Yeah, thank you for being here.
I'll find the date.
Motion to adjourn?
Good.
Do we motion?
So moved.
You start to do that? I don't think we can do that.
I think you can just adjourn.
You just adjourn.
Yeah.
You adjourn.
Really?
You can give this to, but I knew it'd be longer.